My Lady Jane debuted with 8 episodes on Prime Video, and the Amazon series takes viewers on a tense and magical adventure before reaching its thrilling ending. Based on Brodie Ashton, Cynthia Hand, and Jodi Meadows' novel of the same name, My Lady Jane reimagines the story of the real-life Jane Grey, England's first queen. The real Jane's reign was a short-lived part of the Tudor era, but My Lady Jane crafts a new narrative and fate for its heroine. Using punchy narration and feminist themes, it turns her into the opposite of a damsel in distress. Although My Lady Jane alters history, it sees the fictional version of its lead facing similar obstacles to her real-life counterpart. In the series Tudor England, Catholics and Protestants are replaced with Ethians, humans who turn into animals, and Verities, ordinary people who believe Ethians are evil. When Jane is forced to marry and take her seemingly dead cousin's throne, she finds herself facing the wrath of those who tried to usurp him. She also faces backlash for attempting to ease the division between Ethians and Verities. This nearly leads to her beheading, but My Lady Jane's ending spares her that fate. What happens to Lady Jane Grey and Lord Guildford Dudley in My Lady Jane? They both escape execution and survive at the end of Season 1. The real Lady Jane Grey and Guildford Dudley were beheaded at the behest of Queen Mary I, but My Lady Jane promises a different ending to its heroine's story, and it delivers. Although things look dire for Jane and Guildford in Season 1's final episodes, the couple manage to escape their executions just as they're unfolding. Jane is dragged in front of an audience to be beheaded, and Guildford is put on a pyre. Fortunately, King Edward and Fitz convince the Ethians to disrupt the execution. Animals descend on the castle, helping Jane and Guildford get away. The gripping romance between Jane and Guildford comes to a head at this moment, as she's willing to burn in order to save him. Jane tells Guildford she loves him, and he finally transforms into a horse of his own volition. With so much commotion, Jane leaps onto Guildford's back, and they ride off together. They make it away from the castle, but when Guildford suggests they travel elsewhere, Jane realizes they can't leave. The pair get a happy-ish ending in My Lady Jane. It's certainly better than being executed, but many of the details are left open-ended. Who sits on England's throne at the end of My Lady Jane Season 1? Season 1 concludes with Mary still queen. Princess Mary and Lord Seymour look on in disgust in front of a castle in My Lady Jane. Jane and Guildford survive the ending of My Lady Jane Season 1, but England's woes aren't over. Amazon has yet to renew the historical fantasy series for Season 2, but Queen Mary still sits on the throne when My Lady Jane comes to a close. Jane and Guildford escape her wrath, but everyone who helps them get away remains at the castle. There's no comeuppance for Mary or Lord Seymour, and they're still unaware that King Edward is alive. While viewers can assume Jane, Guildford, and Edward retake the throne, My Lady Jane seems to be gearing up for Season 2. Kate O'Flynn does a diabolical job of bringing Queen Mary to life, so it would be nice to see this alternate version of history take her villainous monarch down. There are also questions about who should sit on the throne next. Edward seems poised to retake it, but he'll need to ensure he has a plan, in case anything like My Lady Jane comes to pass again. He'll also have his work cut out for him. He promises to make peace between the Ethians and Verities, an action that results in Jane's removal and near execution in Season 1. Do the Ethians and Verities make peace after My Lady Jane? The conflict between the two groups is not fully resolved. Mairead tires as Jane's friend Susanna in My Lady Jane. Another element of My Lady Jane Season 1 that doesn't get closure is the conflict between the Ethians and Verities. Edward convinces the former to help him, and he promises to treat them more fairly when he retakes his throne. However, that's yet to happen, so the division between Ethians and Verities is still in effect. The ending of My Lady Jane Season 1 takes a step towards peace, but it doesn't actually unite the two groups. If My Lady Jane is renewed for Season 2, this will likely be one of the main storylines the new episodes cover.